Good morning. Hello. Buenos dias. Welcome to Conciencia Planetaria, a program of Mundo Holístico TV. So glad to present today the third part in a series that we have been sharing over the past month. This series revolves around the film and the organization that is depicted in it, KIVA, Call of the Guardians. And so some of you were with us for the first part, where we discussed the history of the film that is still available to see. That is with the film's director, Marijke Kodden, and Cheryl Angel, one of the protagonists in the film, who many of you are already familiar with. And she is going to be joining us today a little later. The second part was about Heriberto Villaseñor and Nubia, the founders of Raíces de la Tierra, or Roots of the Earth, which is the organization that has created these massive gatherings that have awakened so much consciousness and healing throughout the planet, 5 continents now. And today we're returning with the film director and with 3 women who have worked very hard to promote the film and the concepts within the film, which is the sort of restoration and reconnection with our ancestral roots and with indigenous traditions worldwide so that we can support each other in the healing of the earth. So I'm going to go ahead and ask our producer to put us all on the screen now so I can introduce our speakers. Karina, si puedes juntar todos ahora en la pantalla. And para los hispanohablantes, estamos en inglés hoy, pero pueden ver esto con subtítulos en español mañana en 24 horas. So yes, today we're going to be in English, but I just gave a little bit of a commentary to our Spanish-speaking followers. So today we're going to start with a brief introduction of each of us. We've got Carola Esparza from Chile. Carola is a prayer woman in the Mapuche tradition and a student of Doña Rosa Huenufil, devoted to heart-centered communication and the living language of the earth. We also have Raquel Haug from the Netherlands, a ceremonial leader and storyteller exploring the forgotten leadership of European grandmothers and feminine wisdom tradition. And she is the organizer of the KIVA team in Holland, and she'll be telling us more about that. And we hope to be joined shortly by Cheryl Angel, who is a sacred activist, water protector, and wisdom keeper featured in the film. And she also has been going back and forth to Amsterdam and to Europe, helping to plant seeds of consciousness there. So today we're going to begin with Carola, who is going to share with us a reflection and a little bit of ceremony that will help us to set the tone for today's conversation. Carola, many thanks for, actually thanks to all of you, but many thanks for being here in this moment with us.
Thank you very much. Last night it was raining very heavily, and as I was reflecting on reconnection and reconciliation, I got out and I put a small plate to receive rain water. And I did it without knowing why, really. But this morning I knew. I saw this water drop by drop came into this dish. I tried to tell them to stay apart. I tried to tell them not to come together because some were maybe Argentinians, others were Dutch, but there was nothing to do. They kept on coming together. at the bottom of my dish. I thought they are reconnecting. They are reconciling. They were all one before they were in my dish. And I thought, how about if I will mix them with water that is coming from the well where I live? So that's what I do now. And still, if you can see my dish, they all have become one. There is no difference between the water that came from the sky and the water from Mother Earth. Some call it the masculine water, some call it feminine water. In this dish, you cannot tell. They have reconciled. They have become one. They all come from the same place, and they all have come together in this small dish. I call on our inner waters, Great Spirit, to reconcile with each water, with every water on this earth, within and without. May we remember that we are water and come together. Don't forget the power of the water. It is the power of love. It is a different power. It goes so long into the stone that finally it can open a hole, not with violence, but by coming all together, all the waters. There is no difference. That is the power of water, and that is the power of love. That is my offering for today.
So powerful, Carola, and so many thanks again for being here and for sharing your wisdom. I can't think of a more fitting metaphor for the times that we're living in right now and how we need to be thinking of each other and this beautiful planet that we're on. Well, now we're going to share just a little taste of the film so that everyone can get an idea of what's coming up. All three of these interviews are organized to highlight a special online screening event of the KIVA film, which is happening next Monday, February 22nd.
Sunday.
Yes, Monday.
Sunday.
Oh, Monday. Very sorry. Yes, of course. Monday, February 22nd.
And Sunday. Sorry.
Sorry?
Sunday.
It's Sunday. Oh, my goodness. Yes, of course. Okay. I don't know how I thought that was Monday, but it's Sunday. Very clearly. Sunday, February 22nd, we're going to be having what Marijke calls KIVA nights. It's KIVA nights in Europe, but for us, it's a KIVA luncheon. So it's midday here in the Western Hemisphere. So we are going to show a trailer right now that will give you an idea of that, and then Marijke is going to tell us a little bit about the history of the KIVA and how this film has been traveling since then. Let's see, Karina, ¿nos puedes poner el tráiler ahora?
Hace más o menos 50 años tuvo una visión Raimundo Tigre Pérez y él pregunta dentro de la visión qué debe hacer y empezó a ver cómo se abre de nuevo la tierra y sale una mujer y empiezan a entrar diferentes seres con vestimentas de muchos colores, de diferentes especies de vestimentas, pieles, tejidos, con diferentes personalidades, diferentes lenguas, diferentes sensaciones espirituales que dejaban en ese fuego, y ese fuego empezó a acrecentar, hasta que esa mujer empieza a cantar.
Todos los sabedores lo decían. nosotros perderemos la conexión, la espiritualidad y comenzaremos a vivir más física, valorando más materia que valora la espiritualidad.
El origen de cada pueblo tiene en su haber un gran conocimiento que actualmente no se entiende aún. Las tradiciones que aún están vivas nos dan la oportunidad de recuperar ese conocimiento.
It's very important to understand the symbolism of a human being coming out of the earth, out of a kiva, as the person comes up, and then it turns around and comes back into the kiva again, This is important to understand, because we do come from Mother Earth.
Aún tenemos una gran oportunidad de recuperación, de recuperar las raíces de la tierra, por favor, son nuestras raíces, son las raíces de la humanidad y este conocimiento no se puede perder.
The reason why we are here, all of us, we had a call, and we still have got a call to bring the world together. The world, I mean, the human race.
E o Kiva anda aonde está doente. O local onde está doente, o Kiva vai e cura.
Mata com que
Okay, thank you very much. It's so beautiful. I could watch this film 10 times or more and not get tired of it. Marijke, could you please explain to us a little bit about the context of this film? And I want to repeat for those who are just coming online right now that this film in its entirety will be shown along with a dialogue with the wisdom keepers from 3 different continents on Sunday, February 22nd, in the evening in Europe and in midday for those of us in the Western Hemisphere. So Marijke, would you like to take it from there?
Thank you. Yes, well, thanking you first for this great opportunity to share this with the people who watch. And yes, I will create a little bit of context, and then I think Raquel can also add a little bit how the KIVA ceremony came to Europe. So basically the KIVA ceremony is a ceremony which has been existing more than 3,000 years. So the ancient people in North America, they already had KIVA ceremonies. And for example, the Hopi and the Pueblo, they had partly underground ceremonial spaces, which they also called KIVA. And they invited chiefs of other tribes to smoke the peace pipe, to exchange indigenous wisdom for a better understanding between the tribes, and also to pray for Mother Earth. And then when Columbus came, these kind of ceremonies got forbidden, as a lot of other things got forbidden, and it was seen as witchcraft. So it went underground in another way. But then in 1968, Tigre Raimundo Perez, as you saw in the short trailer, he had a vision, and he got the message that it was really important to revive these kind of ceremonies. And that's what happened first in the North American reservations. And then after he died, one of his firemen, Heriberto Villaseñor and Nubia Rodriguez, who you could hear and see in the last interview last week, or the 3rd of February, that was, And they continue to bring his vision into the world. And they started in Mexico from an extinct volcano, 2,000 meters high. And then from there, they went to South America. And then they went to Europe. And then to India. And last year, they went to Australia and Africa for the first time. So the fire was burning on the 5 continents. But I gladly give the word to Raquel to tell us how it came to Europe.
It came to Europe. It came to Holland in 2016, but we were the second country because it first started in Austria. The 4 years. So from 2012 to 2011 to 2015, it was in Austria introduced, and that was the very first time that it came to Europe. And I wasn't there. I started connected to the KIVA in 2016, and you said in the introduction that I was the organizer, but actually how it was that we were with a whole group, we were basically friends that were already doing ceremonies, sweat lodges at a particular place in Holland. And we kind of knew each other for the last 20 years. And then one of the assistants of Heriberto got familiar with us. He befriended us, and that was Essen. And he thought, wow, in Holland, there's a great place to start a KIVA. And so we started with just a group of friends. And the first year, we only invited our friends. And we were with a big circle. We were about 125, maybe 200 people, including all the elders and all the people that came from Austria to help us set up this KIVA. And when we started, we had no idea what it was. And of course, we created this big, huge hole in the ground of 13 meters. And it was very spectacular to see, but we had no idea what it exactly was. And then from 5 continents, all these elders started to arrive. And we had these 4 magical days in which everybody went in the sweat lodge in the morning and went in the sweat lodge at the end of the day. And during the day, we would start to see all these elders perform their original ceremonies. And it was just, it touched everybody. So the year after that, we had a huge crowd, and that only kept going and going. And we had about almost, we went up to 850 people as attendance. And then we stopped it because we said it's going to be too big. And actually what happened is that the last year we had to actually move the whole thing to a whole different space because the local government said, what are you doing at this little piece of land and what's going on? And so we had to move to another site, and we did. And so from 2016 to 2019, we had this amazing 4 years of connecting to all these indigenous people from all over the world. And of course, we were already familiar with Native American ceremonies because we all had our own different ways of connecting. A lot of us were connected to Mexican indigenous people. I had lived in the United States for a very long time, and I had already been doing women's sweat lodges for about 10 years when I came back to Europe in 97. So I've been at it for more than 35 years, pouring sweat lodges, mainly for women in the beginning. So for us all, it was a great coming together. And yeah, it was sort of like with a group of friends, and then it became this whole large thing. And now we have many groups in Europe that are connecting. We call ourselves KIVA family, Races de la Tierra, Roots of the Earth family, and we are all connected And I think that the vision of Tigre Perez, for us Europeans, was to really bond with each other, to really, because we have all different languages in Europe. It's not, we're as big as the United States, or as North and South America, but we have many different languages. We feel ourselves to be very different from each other. So the KIVA brought us this vision of togetherness and really become one European family. And that's what's going on right now. So, and I feel really, really grateful to be part of that movement right now.
Wow, that's fascinating. I love hearing about this because as a binational citizen, I live in Mexico and part-time in the United States with my family. And I've seen the KIVA, the Raíces de la Tierra, grow from a very small organization to now, as you say, 5 continents. And Europe, what's happening in Europe is so interesting, because I think as a, descendant of settler peoples myself, we people in the global north struggle a lot with the fact that we lost our ancestral heritage centuries ago in very painful ways. And I think that's some of what makes up the roots of a lot of the conflicts that we're having now. But what Europe is doing, what's happening in Europe with the KIVA right now, is so beautiful and so powerful. And so I'd love to hear from each of you how you feel that the KIVA ceremony and the documentary have helped people to reconnect in that way that you spoke of, Raquel, not by copying indigenous traditions, but by awakening their own ancestral roots. How is that happening?
You want me to answer, or?
Yeah, I'd like to hear from all 3 of you on that, if you'd like.
Who likes to go first?
Maybe Carola can go first, since we haven't heard very much from her yet, except for her beautiful opening.
Thank you very much. I feel what Roots of the Earth, the KIVA family, has done first in my country, where some KIVA have reached 3,000 people attending. And what I have seen is the KIVA fire. It has the power of reunite all fires. And I have seen it happen. Different spiritual currents are present in Chile as well as in other parts of the world. And in the KIVA, everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. And I feel strongly that that makes a big difference. Also, I feel that the field that is created during these 4 days of prayers, of songs, of reconnecting between not only the elders, but the whole KIVA family, children, elders in between. So this is possible because of the field that is created by this ceremony. That is why it is so important to support that the KIVA can reach every part of the world, to create these fields again and to weave us again into one big spider web. And we are all weavers on this. We all have a part to weave. And the KIVA remind us of that, remind us of our connection to the source, independently of nationality, color, or creed, or religions, or faith. Remind us to go back to the source, to come to the fire, to come to nature, to come together. That is, for me, what the KIVA fire brings to humanity today.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Carola. And now I'd like to ask Raquel, as a person who has been there in Europe since your birth, in Amsterdam or in Holland, working with people for many years already to try and awaken that ancestral connection. First of all, the challenges in doing that, and how the KIVA family and the KIVA film have helped you in that process. And Karina, si puedes poner Raquel, por favor. Yeah. So how has the KIVA film and the KIVA ceremonies, how have they helped you in this work that you were already doing?
Well, thank you, Carola, for mentioning the KIVA fire and the connection. What happens when we have these 4 days that you really feel this is something else than the days before and the days after? Something happens during those 4 days. And that's the connection to spirit. And that is something that, and you mentioned it as well, that we have lost in Europe because of Christianization and because of the warfare which has been going on in Europe. So people have been all christened and have been losing their own sacred ceremonies that are connected to the earth. We used to pray with the trees. The trees were the main important spirits, guides for us. So where now our big churches are built were usually powerful places that were vortexes of very strong energetic lines, ley lines, where there was like a spring or a beautiful tree, and people would just pray with nature and would see meaning in that whole process, would be very connected to Mother Earth. And we lost that. And for me, one very important thing is that we lost the voice of the mothers, of the grandmothers. And a very dear friend who I know through the KIVA, who is from Chile, she said to me a couple of years ago, Raquel, there's something strange, but the whole idea of that the witches or the old women were burned or were wiped out, it almost, because she lives in Germany, it almost feels in Europe like that's a myth, like that never took place. It feels like people don't talk about it, as if it never happened. And I feel, and there's a lot of movement going on about that subject right now as we speak, because when you think of colonialism that happened in the 1400s, 1500s, that was the same time that the women, the elder women in Europe, were silenced. And I have a feeling that those things go hand in hand. So one of the beautiful things that I felt is that working with Mother Earth, working with spirit, also brings back the power of the female and the autonomous female that stands next to the male leader. And last year, I was very fortunate to go to a seminar in upstate New York with the Haudenosaunee women. And they have a movement. It was interesting because I met a lot of women that also were familiar with the KIVA and connected to the KIVA, also indigenous people. And their movement is called rematriation, bringing back the sacred knowledge to Mother Earth. And they are also, amongst themselves, the female leaders are also now remembering how it was and picking up that important task again to show us, women of the West, again, how to be strong leaders, how to take a position of autonomy and how to stand next to the men to guide them. And I think if we look worldwide at the world right now, that's so important, that the voice of the women given us back to us by the indigenous people, the wisdom of the indigenous people, that voice comes back. And that's only going to bring peace in the world. And I feel that that's exactly what the KIVA gatherings are helping us to do, to bring this important message back to us, how to take care of our Mother Earth, but also how to reconnect to each other in peaceful ways, and to bring back the sacred knowledge of the women, the sacred knowledge of the men, and how to work together. And that it can only happen through spirit and through reconnecting with each other, like we do now in Europe, become one family.
Very, very, very true. And I just have a small footnote for our Christian listeners out there. And I suspect, and I do hope that we have some, because, you know, because we need you very much in these movements, right? And I suspect that there's a lot of that going on as well, that people from all different faith traditions are able to take advantage of these teachings and these ceremonies and practices to awaken their own connection with the divine that has a tie back to the ancestral teachings. Yeah.
Yes, because it's not there's nothing wrong with the Christian teachings.
Mm-hmm.
Those are beautiful. It's only been used in certain ways that have been taken away people from spirit instead of reconnecting to spirit. But there are beautiful Christian people making this happen, what we are talking about, in their own right. So yes, absolutely.
So yes, thank you so much for sharing that, Raquel. Marijke, is there something you'd like to add?
Yes, well, what I would like to add is that, I started filming in Holland during the third KIVA ceremony in 2018. And then I went to Mexico. That's where I met Cheryl Angel and Shirley, who are important voices in the documentary. And then 2019 again in Holland, and then the last one in Germany. So I filmed at 5 ceremonies. And then, I'm Raquel, very grateful, and the whole team that I was allowed to film there. Which I only intended to make like this short 5-minute impression of these 4 days of ceremony, until I interviewed the 4 men, which you saw at the end of the small trailer. And what they told me in half an hour, that was really, that I thought this should hear everyone, because this was really about the unseen connection between all the indigenous tribes. Toroan, Maori elders saying, I see me, I see me, I see myself in you. And Junior Fed is saying, there's a hidden connection between all the indigenous tribes, and we don't need words to understand each other. And that's where the idea of documentary started. And what I can say is that what happens at the screenings is that a lot of people are really touched by what the elders, the wisdom keepers are sharing, because they're totally sharing from the heart, and that's really felt. So it's for some people like an awakening to something they already know, or a longing to, they see people so really connected to everything that surrounds them, and a longing to have that again as well. So I see in Holland the people that come to the screenings, the question is, how can we reconnect with our roots? How, do we still have our wisdom keepers? Are they still here? And then Toro was saying, the Maori elder, your wisdom is not gone, it's hidden. There are people that are still connected to the land and to the animals and to everything that surrounds them. But we have to find them again, because we were also colonized. So there's also still maybe people hidden, like they don't dare to rise and shine yet. But that's what we're looking for now, these people. So Carola and Cheryl have been at numerous KIVA evenings, and Raquel as well. I mean, countless. And they have been also inspiring people how they can reconnect to their roots. But when they're not there, we have a lot of Dutch or European people sharing at the evenings, and to try and collect the wisdom from these lands, like the Celtic roots. I mean, a lot of people are now already organizing the 8 Celtic festivities, how do you say it? Ceremonies during the year, like Imbolc and Beltane. It's really coming back. And that was also part of our history. And also the Runen, which I always thought was from Scandinavia, but it was also part of our ancestry. Our Dutch elder, Annelies Thelen, she had a vision about that. And she's really sharing a lot about that as well. But Raquel, maybe you can add, like numerous initiatives are now coming up to really, really reconnect with our roots again.
Yes. Raquel, did you want to respond briefly to that?
I think that the beauty of having the KIVA documentary be shown everywhere, that it gives us an opportunity to all meet each other and to meet on this same understanding that this is really an important message that we need to recreate, and that we need to do something with. It's not something from there. It's inspiration for us to pick up, like what Marijke says, and to go and research our own roots. And okay, what is it that we need to do in Europe, in Holland? What does our mother, this water, I live here, this little house that I'm in is on the bottom of a former sea. So, because we live very below sea level. And so our ancestors were really smart to pump all this water out. So I am on the bottom of a lake. And so the soil here is very wet. So there's the water ceremony that Carola just did, and talking about the water. It's called Waterland here. So I'm really, and my ancestors are all from here. I'm really from the Waterland. And where the KIVA was, that's where the dry land is. That's where the sand is. And that's totally different. So it's really beautiful to talk to our mother and to feel what is the message that we need to learn here from our own ancestors, because it's what Marijke says, their message is somewhere still buried in there. And we just have to remember and recollect the old ways. And there's people that still carry this knowledge. And so slowly but surely, we all come together and we bring in little bits and pieces of information. And the KIVA documentary and the KIVA family is really helping to help this, building this, and manifesting it for us right now.
Raquel, you are one of good examples of being a Dutch elder. Yeah, bringing the
Yes.
knowledge back.
Absolutely. That's what I was about to say. Raquel, I think we're looking at one. I think we have one with us right now.
Yeah.
So what a blessing. What a blessing. And I think we're all of us that have an opening to this are called to learn our own traditions and find ways to connect and share them if we feel called to do so. And I think it's one of the most important forms of work that we have right now. And I want to come back to how this can help us to find our inner peace. And yet, first, I want to talk with Carola. I'd like to hear from Carola, who has been also doing a great deal of this work in Europe as well as in Chile. And there's a concept, a prophecy, an ancient prophecy that both she and Cheryl have worked with and spoken of many times, and that is the prophecy of the eagle and the condor. And Carola, I see you in that way, with your condor feathers and going from south to north and bringing that wisdom. Would you like to talk with us a little bit about that prophecy? And just a little reality check here. We have about 15 minutes for that, and for then we want to talk a little bit about how this practice can help folks in their daily lives. So Carola, now.
Okay.
Karina,
Thank you. Yes, for what I understand, from what I have heard from elders around the so-called Americas. Thank you to Americo Vespucio, that is called like that. It is that long time ago, about 1,000 years ago, this prophecy was heard of in the very center of the Amazon. And I understand that that was the first time that this prophecy came out of the jungle, a time to prepare for the renovation of the indigenous and the restoration of Mother Earth. So the prophecy had said that, as Mamo Lorenzo also mentioned, that we will go very far away, but there will be a moment in which we will come back. So the Spirit has given us the opportunity to go very far, but also is giving us the opportunity to come back. And that is what resonates also with the KIVA documentary and with the KIVA ceremonies. It touches a part of us that connect us all, because the people are touched independently of their faith, of their nationalities or gender. They are touched in their heart because the messages are the same from the elders in Australia, New Zealand, South America, North America. Come back to Mother Earth. Come back to Mother Earth. And the prophecy of the eagle and the condor say that the north, that is the eagle, and that is the vision. And the eagle represents the United States. Is there, right? So for us, the condor. The eagle represents the vision, the mind. The condor represents the heart. The prophecy say that at one moment we were all one. Yes, but some people woke up north and they search for vision and for intellectual development. And they created many things with their mind. Other people march south and they develop the heart energy. That was the condor people. The other were the eagle people. And the prophecy say that in this time, mind and heart has to come together. It does not only refer about geographically speaking the north and the south. Yes, it does. But also includes all the northern hemisphere with the south hemisphere, but also all the directions, that we integrate the eagle and the heart, condor. That is the calling. And this prophecy had traveled to the Aviala, which was the original name by which the natives knew what we call now Americas. The Aviala had carried this from Alaska to Fireland.
Mhm.
This prophecy was carried by the trading,
Mhm.
because there were trade routes all the way to Alaska, all the way to Fireland. That's why you can find shells that are only from South America, like the spondylus, all the way up north in necklaces, all necklaces.
Yes. And when Carola says Fireland, she's speaking of Tierra del Fuego, which I think most of us, even English speakers, think of it as Tierra del Fuego, the very point,
See?
southern point of
Fuego.
Patagonia, right? So we have
Yes.
about 6-7 minutes left, and I'd like to dedicate some of that time to speaking about the subject that is going to be the main subject of the Kiva night or Kiva afternoon, depending on where you are, on Sunday, this coming Sunday. And more information about that in all of the texts that accompany this video. And that is staying centered in turbulent times. And one question to all of you. In times of, well, the current times of stress and conflict, and I mean, we're living in times that we have never seen before, and it can be very easy to just shut down and say, I can't deal with this. How does the practice of Kiva and the practice of reconnecting with our ancestral traditions more generally, how can that help us in times like these?
Actually, I like to share something that this today is my birthday.
Oh, happy
It's my 69th birthday, so I'm starting my 70th year. But yesterday, my sister-in-law passed away. And so this morning we went, my husband and me, we went to see her and say goodbye and sit with her husband and her son. And Saturday, I guided a ceremony for a dear young friend of mine who lost her full-grown baby. She came to term with the baby, but the baby died. And I did a ceremony with the two grandmothers and with the young woman. And even though it's so sad that people pass on, the fact that we have ceremonies, that we can make small offerings, that we can be together and sit around a candle or around a fire and share from our hearts what happened. The grandmothers were just beautiful, sharing how it felt for them to lose their grandchild. And also the mother was very open. And for me, it was just so hopeful to be part of this beautiful ceremony and to see. And the same sitting this morning. Now, my sister-in-law was not at all about ceremony, but just sitting there and just share and just feel the connection. And when people die, something happens like the same as when we are in ceremony. Everybody feels that we're in a different dimension, and everybody is kind of in awe about life. And what happens afterwards, we don't know. And that feeling, that connection, that honesty to ourselves and to others, and to feel that we are so much connected and that we need each other. I feel that is maybe very simple message, but that is what's going to make the world a better world, to take care of each other again, and to and that we are all little fires that we can bring hope and healing to other people if we make ourselves to be in service of others. And it feels like that's what the Kiva is about. That's what the ceremony is about. That's what the vision that Carola just talked about the condor and the eagle is about. So for me, it's complex, but it's also simple to just accept from your heart who the other person is and what we're going through, and have compassion for the other.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's what the Kiva is all about, and that's what the vision of Tigre Perez is about.
Yes, so much. In Lakesh Alakin, I am you and you are me.
Yes.
Yes. We have now a little less than 5 minutes. So Carola, you can share your thoughts about this very briefly, because I'd like to close with giving Marijke a few moments to remind us the details about Sunday, February 22nd, Sunday coming up, and the special Kiva night, Kiva afternoon. So Carola, what are your thoughts about staying calm in turbulent times, and what does Kiva and what does ceremony have to do with that? Big question, short time. I'm so sorry.
I believe one big teaching from many elders, what I hear, is about the gratitude. And gratitude is a key. It's a magical key. It's an abracadabra thing. It's a shazam. Gratitude, when you breathe, when you feel that everything is falling apart, take a deep breath and see the miracle of life. You are alive because of air. When you're going to drink a glass of water, wow, see it as if you have seen it for the first time. Stay in everyday small miracles, because we are surrounded by them, but sometimes so busy in our minds and so busy bombed by outside, that we forget that we are fishes. We are fish swimming in an ocean of love.
What a beautiful image to end this conversation with. Now, thank you so much, Carola, Raquel, and now Marijke. If you can just give us, we have, oh my goodness, I think we have 5 minutes. So we might have just a little bit, but no, we have to close early. So we have, I think, maybe 3 minutes or 2. Marijke, can you tell us again about what's about to happen on Sunday?
So yes, we will share the documentary, which now can be watched in 6 different languages. So wherever you're in the world, it doesn't matter. We share all the different versions, and then you can see it with your own language version. And that's about 1 hour. So yeah, we come together in a Zoom meeting, and it's like a little community event. So we do an introduction, and then we watch the movie, and then we come back into the Zoom meeting, and then we will give the word to our dear grandmothers who are here today, and also Cheryl Angel, and they will really share as today from the wisdom of the heart, and beautiful values. Whereas I was thinking that, and maybe I'll share that on Sunday, because to me, it's going back to reconnect with our roots. But it's also, it would really help if we would remember, as Raquel was saying, remember the original principles that all indigenous people live by. And that is the 7 R's. It's reciprocity, to give back the earth more than we take. Responsibility, not for the 1 generation ahead, but 7 generations ahead. Respect, of course, for all living beings. Regeneration, leave the earth more beautiful than you found it. Reverence, the reverence of life, but also the humbleness and the gratitude, what Carola was sharing. And restraint is about growth. I mean, growth in the Western world is about more and more material, and we know all that's ending. But for the indigenous people, growth is, how do I become a better earth guardian? How can I take care of her more? And I think these indigenous principles are so beautiful. And if we would all, remember those. So that's also what we are going to talk about at the evening. So I want to gladly invite you all to join from all over the world and to connect with people from all over the world. And
so yes, we have. I just want to add two very important facts, and one is that all of the proceeds for this screening are going to be going directly to Raíces de la Tierra, Roots of the Earth, the organization that sponsors these KIVA ceremonies, and they pay to bring elders from all over the world. So Marijke has done an incredible thing in sponsoring numerous of these events, and all of the proceeds always go for the online events and much of the KIVA nights as well, to support the work of the KIVA and Raíces de la Tierra, Roots of the Earth family. And the other thing is that this conversation the conversation with the Wisdom Keepers is going to be translated into Spanish. So the film will be in all the languages, in 6 different languages, but the conversation will be, that's a little trickier because that's going to be live, but it will be translated. Is that right, Marijke? Is that still true? Is that going to be translated into Spanish?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I think our time is now up. What I would just like to say is this has been such a wonderful conversation. I feel so moved by the opportunity to visit with each of you, and we are going to be distributing this. And I have to say, I have been sitting here thinking about organizing my own KIVA night, so I will be in touch about that.
Yeah, and maybe it's nice to thank again Heriberto and Nubia Rodriguez as so much work, and they totally give their heart and soul and everything in organizing these KIVA ceremonies for the last 35 years.
Absolutely.
And if you watch their interview, you hear all about the plans for next year, because it's going to be big.
Yes. Okay. So I'm hearing from our wonderful producer that it's time to go. So goodbye, farewell, and hope to see you again and connect soon.
Yes.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Tracy.